DJ Payne 1.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the CEO Sports Show for September 16th, 2025. My name is Kris Kretschman. I am your host, as I always am your host for the CEO Sports Show. Unless I go on vacation, I tell somebody else to be the host of the CEO Sports Show, which may be the case. I don't know. Don't know yet. But that's besides the point. On today's video, we're going to be talking about everything that went on, well, with the Buccaneers and Texans game. We're going to have an honest conversation about Justin Herbert, and we're also going to talk about the value of rookie running backs and why you should not be drafting them in round one of the NFL draft. But that's besides the point. Well, it's actually not besides the point. Make sure to check out the rest of the Kretschman Media shows on my homepage, Okoye Knows Boxing, the Stadium Pulse, the Mic Drop, Space Cowboy Show, and Dubs Room. A lot of shows on Kretschman Media right now. Also, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. I'll greatly appreciate that. Without further ado, let's get into the episode. Okay, so two things that I have to take away from the Buccaneers and Texans game yesterday was my main two takeaways. Let's start here. I'm worried about CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud has been disappointing ever since his rookie season. Now, to me, I always looked at CJ Stroud as he had a very promising rookie season. He was heading in the right direction. Now let's see year two and year three. Can he play good football? Because people expected him after year one to become an elite quarterback. Hell, I even heard Chris Sims say that CJ Stroud was the best pocket passer in football after like week one or week two of the 2024 season. So like his second game in his second season. It was just never the case. Why can't we just let these quarterbacks develop and not place unrealistic expectations on these guys? But also CJ Stroud didn't help himself either when he called himself a top 5 quarterback and went on a podcast and even said it. It's not like he helped himself in that perspective, but also the fans didn't really help him because they put him in conversations that he didn't belong in after his rookie season. And my thing with CJ Stroud is he looks like a good year 3 quarterback that has struggling pieces around him when it comes to his offensive line, which is not very good. But also CJ Stroud needs to take some accountability as well, because there are throws that he's been missing. And when you're looking at CJ Stroud as a guy who could potentially make $60 million a year, you got to ask yourself the question, is he worth that type of money? Because I know what the ESPN folks are going to say, the people who never ran a business, have never run an NFL organization. They're going to say, you got to pay him. You got to pay him all the money in the world, man. Like, I don't know. If I'm an owner and I got to cut this guy a $60 million per year type of check, even $55 million, I have questions. It has not looked good. Even last year, CJ Stroud, he did not look nearly as good as he did his rookie season. His play has dropped off from his rookie season. That is concerning. And even this year, you look at him, he's 30th in the league in QBR. And call it what you may with QBR. If you want to say it's a flawed metric, then say it's a flawed metric. But that's concerning. And when you come off the season that CJ Stroud had last year, I'm very, very concerned about CJ Stroud, about whether or not this guy is, I think he's a legitimate starting NFL quarterback. I don't have those questions. But the questions that I have about CJ Stroud is, can he be one of the 10 best quarterbacks in the league? Can he be a guy that you can win a Super Bowl with? I don't know if the answer to that question is yes. Yeah, I know people are going to say, well, if you build a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, he can win a Super Bowl. Do you know how hard it is to build a team that good? There's very few teams in the history of the NFL that have been built that well. So yes, he can win a Super Bowl if he has one of the best teams of all time surrounding him. But it's very unlikely that the Houston Texans are going to be able to build that. And that's not a slight against the Texans organization. That's just saying it's extremely difficult to build a team that good. But when we look at CJ Stroud, you got to start asking questions about, is this guy worth the type of money that he's going to be demanding? Because David Mulugheta is not an easy agent to deal with. It's not just the Micah Parsons deal. It's all the other deals that David Mulugheta had to work with as well. I mean, Derek Stingley, he ran up a bag for Derek Stingley. There's plenty of other guys that you can look at with David Mulugheta. He's not an easy agent to negotiate with. He's going to try and get the most for his client. And if you're the Houston Texans, I think it's very fair to ask the question, is what we're going to have to pay him, is he worth that type of money? Because I'm looking at him so far this season and what I saw last season from CJ Stroud. And if I'm an executive, I'm saying I'm hesitant. Like, we need to explore this. Like, it might be a tough negotiation. And yeah, I get it. You have a franchise quarterback. You got to ride that until the wheels fall off. But what we've seen from CJ Stroud these last 2 years, I don't know if you can warrant paying this guy more than you would pay Josh Allen, which I think he's making $55 million. Dak Prescott's making 60, but that's a very special deal because the Jones family they're not very good at negotiating contracts and obtaining leverage. So that's why that deal is that deal. But questions need to be asked about CJ Stroud. And not only should fans start to ask those questions, I can tell you this, the Houston Texans were asking those questions little past midway point of last season, because that's what NFL executives do. They ask a bunch of questions, right? When they see somebody not playing to the level that they've seen them play before, they ask questions. Was that a one-time thing? Are we going to see the guy that we saw his rookie season? It's interesting. And this is why I don't rank rookie quarterbacks in the top 7. That's why Jaden Daniels, people were putting him in top 5. I'm like, hell no. Hell no. Absolutely not. You can't do that with rookie quarterbacks. You have 1 year of data on the guy. Whatever happened to quarterbacks playing consistently? Like, you need to have consistency as a quarterback to be placed amongst some of the best quarterbacks in the league, because some of the best quarterbacks in the league are consistently the best quarterbacks in the league. It's hard to play at that type of level for 5, 6, 7 years. Like we've seen from Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Jackson. And even when you look at the tier 2 of quarterbacks, which we'll get into, to me, the tier 2 of quarterbacks are, you're looking at Stafford, Dak, and Herbert. Those guys have played at a very high level. Yeah, not elite, but high level for 4 or 5 years. That's what you have to do to be considered one of the best quarterbacks in the game. You have to play at a high level for multiple seasons. So when we rank these rookie quarterbacks in the top 5 or the top 7, ask yourself the question, how much does consistency matter in a quarterback? Because it matters a lot. Because you have to consistently be adjusting your game. Year in and year out, defensive coordinators get paid millions upon millions of dollars to shut down these quarterbacks. They go to work all off season, especially coordinators within their division. They say, okay, what is he like on 3rd and 5? What coverages give him problems? Does he struggle reading things pre-snap? Can we disguise things? There's so many questions that they ask, and there's so many things that they throw at these young quarterbacks. It's a lot. It's a reason why a lot of times the sophomore slump, it happens. I know Ben Garcia on his show on Kretschman Media said, oh, the sophomore slump, these guys don't just forget to play football. It's more than that. You can deny it all you want. Sophomore slumps exist. And we see it a lot more than we don't. That's besides the point. I want to move on here. I got to take a drink. I have a Diet Pepsi. Here's the thing, okay? I haven't been out grocery shopping in like a week. I've been extremely busy. So this is all I really had to drink at the place right now. So that's why I'm drinking this, okay? I want to move on to Baker Mayfield because while CJ Stroud was definitely disappointing yesterday, I will say this about Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, he hasn't played at the level that we saw him play in 2024 so far this season, but I do think that he's doing some good things. I mean, so far on the season, 382 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 75.1 QBR. I mean, but he's also only averaging 5.5 yards per attempt. His completion percentage is 60. So, there are some things that Baker Mayfield is doing this season that makes you say like, hey, he's doing some good things. And then there's some things where you're like, okay, I want to see a little more here. But one thing that I've admired about Baker Mayfield so far this season is he's been in close games these last 2 weeks where he had to have a drive to put his team in a position to win the game. Obviously, week 1 against the Falcons, put his team in a position to win the game by throwing that touchdown. And then in week 2, got his team into field goal range, and they ended up kicking a field goal to win that game yesterday. So I look at that and I say, that's very impressive I'm sorry, not a field goal. Baker Mayfield put his team in a position to score a touchdown. I'm sorry. There's so many games that happened this week. I apologize for that. Baker Mayfield, the last 2 weeks, has put his team in a position to win the game. He has done things late in the game. 2 touchdowns on the last 2 drives of the game. Obviously, this week and last week, scoring a touchdown to put his team ahead. It's impressive. Baker Mayfield is becoming one of the more clutch quarterbacks in football. He's becoming one of those guys that you look at him and you say, hey, when we need a drive to go win the game, this guy's going to get it done. And even though I don't think he necessarily played great the last 2 weeks, there were some struggles for a majority of those games. You got to look at what he's done icing these games at the end of the game, and you say, wow, that's really, really impressive. And you talk about a guy that's turning around an organization. I mean, look, the Buccaneers, after Tom Brady, they were shuffling. And Baker Mayfield came into that organization and provided stability. For all of the criticism that he received pre-draft about him not being able to provide stability to an organization and him being a guy that has character concerns, he has really proved a lot of people wrong. I mean, it's been impressive to see what Baker Mayfield has done with the Buccaneers organization. And this is a guy that I think you could win a Super Bowl with. If your team's good enough, and again, like, because the conversation now has turned into, hey, yeah, he could win a Super Bowl if he has the Eagles. Okay, that's not what I mean. Like, this is a guy that I think if you have a good enough roster around him, he could put you in a position to win a Super Bowl. I think that not only is he talented enough, but his intangibles and the stability he provides to an organization and the leadership that he provides to his team, it's very impressive. And he's been productive as hell these last few years. I mean, you go over some of his stats from the last few years here. I mean, this year, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He's playing efficient football. Year before that, 41 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions the year prior. I get from Baker Mayfield, I get leadership, I get stability, I get production, I get talent, I get efficiency. Check. To me, where I would rank him amongst quarterbacks, I'd have him as the 8th overall quarterback. I mean, that's how high I am on Baker Mayfield. You know, because to me, what I'm hearing is that, like, hey, Jaden Daniels and all these guys, they're elite, amazing, awesome, epic quarterbacks, generational talents. When you have a guy like Baker Mayfield, for the past 3 years here, you're talking about 4,000 plus yards, 28 touchdowns in 23, 41 touchdowns in 24. I mean, he's on his way to probably another 30 plus touchdown season for the 3rd year in a row. It's impressive to see what he's provided that organization. Not only that, he is tough as hell. I mean, to me, he reminds me a lot of what Dallas has in Dak Prescott, where, like, everything that you want from a quarterback, he has it. And it's really impressive to see what the Buccaneers have with Baker Mayfield. So I'm blown away. A few years ago, I thought, he was going to be out of the league. But man, what he's done, it's been really impressive. And I know that organization is proud of him. I know that fan base is proud of him. I'm proud of him. I always love when people prove people wrong. And that's what Baker Mayfield is doing right now. And it's very impressive to see. So sorry about that. I want to move on to the Chargers and Justin Herbert. I'm not going to lie to you guys. This was an East Coast game, or East Coast 10 o'clock game. I didn't get to watch a lot of this game, but what I saw on the box score looks like Justin Herbert had a very efficient game. But can we have an honest conversation about Justin Herbert? There's 2 sides of the spectrum here. It's either you love Justin Herbert and you think he is a great quarterback, elite, amazing quarterback, or you think Justin Herbert isn't a top 10 quarterback. He's a playoff choker. And even though he's played well in, I don't know how many games he's played, even though he's played well in like 40 to 50 games of his career, we take the 2 games that he didn't play well and we say, no, that's actually who he is. I think we should find a middle ground here. Now, if you're asking me the middle ground that I'm in when it comes to Justin Herbert, whether he's elite, top 5, top 4 quarterback, or that he's not top 10, I'm closer to the elite range with Justin Herbert. I personally think with Justin Herbert, the conversation is just so skewed because, like I said, you have 2 sides of the conversation. One side thinks he's elite. One side thinks he's not in the top 10, where in reality, he's a tier 2 quarterback, which is fine. He is a really, really, really good quarterback. He's not an elite quarterback. It's fine. He's also, he's not one of these guys that people look at and say he's not in the top 10. He's in that 5 to 7 range for me. To me, I look at, you have your tier 1 of quarterbacks. Everybody knows who that is, the big 4. Everybody knows who that is. And then you have, to me, a tier 2 that consists of 3 guys, maybe 4 guys soon with Baker Mayfield. I'm willing to put him in that second tier. But the definitive second tier to me is Herbert, Stafford, and Dak. Those are guys who have played at a very high level for a long span of time now. And that's where Justin Herbert fits into. He does not separate himself from Stafford or Dak. I think you can rank those guys wherever you want to rank them. But, I also don't like the condescending nature of the people who think that Justin Herbert is a top 4 quarterback or top 5 elite quarterback, where they'll say to you, if you don't have him in the top 5, you don't know football. Or if you don't think he's elite, you don't know football. People are allowed to have opinions about football. People are allowed to have opinions. We don't need to be condescending towards people. That's not fair. I don't think that's the right way to go about this. You can get your opinion across without being condescending. But when I watch Justin Herbert, I don't see much of a difference. I don't see any difference between Herbert, Stafford, and Dak. And that's not a slight against him. Those 3 guys are awesome quarterbacks. Stafford and Dak are fantastic. Just like Justin Herbert, he's fantastic. But he's not in the top 4. I don't think he's necessarily close to breaking into that top 4. Maybe you can say that because of Burrow's injury and because Burrow does have some health concerns. But again, he doesn't separate himself from those other 2 guys. I get, and this is what I get from Justin Herbert is he's a clutch player. Don't get it twisted. Anybody saying that he's not clutch, you're wrong. I will say that you are legitimately wrong. There are too many metrics and stats out there that prove that Justin Herbert is a clutch football player. He's stable, provides stability towards an organization. Leadership, he does it a different way, but it seems like the guys really like playing with him. Production, talent, check. I'd love to have Justin Herbert. If I was starting an organization, I'd love to have Justin Herbert as my quarterback. Guy's a fantastic player. But again, we have to find a little bit of a middle ground here with Justin Herbert. He's not elite. He's not above average. He's really, really good. He's very good. So that's my piece on Justin Herbert. I'm going to have to go back and watch that game. 10 o'clock's kick for Eastern time. I mean, look, I have a day job. For the moment, I have a day job. So watching those full games, it's a little difficult. Something else I do want to move on to when it comes to, just football in general. By the way, before we get into the next topic, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. That would help the channel out big time. Not only that, please make sure to go check out the other pages on Kretschman Media. They're going to be in the homepage of this channel. And I would greatly appreciate if you guys check them out. So one thing that I want to move on to is this. I talk about people being condescending in football all the time. There's 2 sides of the spectrum when it comes to drafting running backs in the first round. You have one side where they'll tell you, if you don't draft a running back in the first round, if you're opposed to that, you're just not a football guy. And then there's the analytic guys who will say, no, you absolutely cannot draft a running back in the first round. I think you can draft a running back in the first round, but they have to be a special talent. And when I mean special, Ashton Genty coming in the NFL, I mean, he was special. I don't necessarily fault the Ravens or the Raiders for that. Saquon Barkley coming in the NFL, he was special. Those type of guys. Ezekiel Elliott, he was special. But the problem that you run into when you're drafting a guy like Omarion Hampton in the first round, I mean, yesterday, 8 carries, 24 yards, 3 yards an attempt. And Omarion Hampton, so far this season, 23 carries for 3.1 yards per attempt. You need to be special if you're getting drafted in the first round. Even if you're getting drafted in the back half of the first round, running backs don't get drafted in the back half of the first round. You need to be special if that's the case. And what I'm seeing from Omarion Hampton, he's not a special running back. He's productive. I like what so far he hasn't necessarily been productive, but he's a chain mover. He provides useful things to the Chargers offense. My question would be this: couldn't you find a guy like that in the second round? Couldn't you find a guy like that in the third, fourth, fifth round? I mean, hell, I think the Commanders found Krosky Merritt in the 7th round, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check that for to confirm that. I'm pretty sure they drafted him like the 7th round. Yeah, 245th pick. So if you're telling me I can find Krosky Merritt in the 7th round, and he's been way more productive than Ashton Genty and Omarion Hampton, that makes me look at that and say, yeah, that is a bit of an extreme. You're usually not going to find legit running backs in the 7th round, but you can easily find them in the 2nd and the 3rd round. And with that 1st round pick that you have, you could go spend that on other positions that you feel comfortable giving a 2nd contract to. Be honest, do you feel comfortable giving a 2nd contract to a running back? Like, no matter how good the running back is, there is a little bit of hesitancy to give him that 2nd contract. When you're talking about, a fan base, there's no doubt about it that if they give a contract to a running back, a 2nd contract, there's hesitancy. The thought does creep into people's mind. Is this guy going to wear down? Now, there are special instances like Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is a special player who he signed multiple contracts in the NFL, and he's been extremely productive every single contract. Saquon Barkley, me personally, I don't think that's a good example just because Saquon's been injured quite often. But if you want to say Josh Jacobs, sure. Like Josh Jacobs has been a very productive running back for a long time. I'm okay with giving running backs contracts, but again, they have to be a Saquon Barkley, a Derrick Henry, a Josh Jacobs. I never fault teams for moving on from running backs that, if the Bills would have moved on from James Cook, even though I know he's a very important piece of that offense, I would have been like, all right, I don't mind that. If you don't want to pay big money to a running back, that's perfectly fine. Because you have to ask yourself, when are the tires going to wear out? You never know. It's hard to tell with that position, especially when you're extending somebody after year 3, when it comes to signing a running back early. I always worry about that. That's why, I always think it's a good idea with these running backs. Wait till the last year of their contract to extend them. I know, the Eagles extended Saquon Barkley. I get why they did it, but at the same time, I get it. You want to reward your players, but this is a business at the end of the day. We gave you a contract. You signed the contract. If we want to wait until, your last year to sign you to a new contract, we can do that. And we're not bad people for doing that. You agreed to the terms, and we're going to follow the terms. That's why I think no matter what, if you have a running back, wait till their last year to sign them. There's no point of signing these guys early. I don't think that's the best course of action. I don't think that's the best use of your resources. So that's the way I look at that. Great show today. Had a lot of fun with this show today. Please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate that. Make sure to go check out the rest of the shows on the Kretschman Media Network. I would greatly appreciate that. The network it's been going good. Some really good positive momentum. I think we're closing in on 500 subs. If we haven't hit 500 subs already, let's see, we're at 498. Okay, so we need to get to 500 subs. So if you haven't subscribed already, please make sure to subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. But until next time, I will see you guys on the next episode. Peace.